How's it going, everybody? Will back again for another chapter of Daniel today. I hope you all had a really good weekend. We're reaching the end of Daniel. We have today and tomorrow left, and then we're going to go on to our next study, and I will be announcing that tomorrow. I'm really excited for it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive on into Daniel chapter 11. Now then, I will reveal the truth to you. 3 more Persian kings will reign, to be succeeded by a 4th far richer than any others. He will use his wealth for political advantage and will stir up everyone to war against the kingdom of grace. Then a mighty king will rise to power, who will rule a vast kingdom and accomplish everything he sets out to do. But at the height of his power, his kingdom will be broken apart and divided into 4 pieces. It will not be ruled by the king's descendants, nor will the kingdom hold the authority it once had, for his empire will be uprooted and given to others. The king of the south will increase in power, but one of the king's own officials will become more powerful than he, and will rule his kingdom with great strength. Some years later, an alliance will be formed between the king of the north and the king of the south. The daughter of the king of the south will be given in marriage to the king of the north, to secure the alliance. But she will lose her influence over him, and so will her father. She will be given up along with her supporters. But when one of her relatives becomes the king of the south, he will raise an army and enter the fortress of the king of the north and defeat him. When he returns again to Egypt, he will carry back their idols along with their precious gold and silver plates. For some years afterward, he will leave the king of the north alone. Later, the king of the north will invade the realm of the king of the south, but will soon be returned to his own land. However, the sons of the king of the north will assemble a mighty army and will assemble a mighty army that will advance like a flood and carry the battle as far as the enemy's fortress. Then the king of the south, in great anger, will rally against the vast forces assembled by the king of the north and will defeat them. After the enemy army is swept away, the king of the south will be filled with great pride and will have many thousands of his enemies killed. But his success will be short-lived. A few years later, the king of the north will return with a fully equipped army far greater than the one he had lost. At that time, there will be a general uprising against the king of the south. Lawless ones among your own people will join them in order to fulfill this vision. But they will not succeed. Then the king of the north will come and lay siege to the fortified cities and capture it. The best troops from the south will not be able to stand against the fierce onslaught. The king of the north will march onward unopposed. None will be able to stop him. He will pause in the glorious land of Israel, intent on destroying it. He will make plans to come with the might of the entire kingdom, and will form an alliance with the king of the south. He will give him a daughter in marriage in order to overthrow the kingdom from within. But his plan will fail. After this, he will turn his attention to the coastal cities and conquer many. But a commander from another land will put an end to his insolence, and will cause him to retreat in shame. He will take refuge in his own fortress, but will stumble and fall, and he will be seen no more. His successor will be remembered as a king who sent a tax collector to maintain the royal splendor. But after a very brief reign, he will die, though neither by battle nor open conflict. The next to come into power will be a despicable man who is not directly in line for royal succession, but he will slip in when least expected and take over the kingdom by flattery and intrigue. Before him, great armies will be swept away, including a covenant prince. By making deceitful promises, he will make various alliances. With a mere handful of followers, he will become strong. Without warning, he will enter into the richest areas of the land and do something that none of his predecessors had ever done: distribute among his followers the plunder and wealth of the rich. He will plot to overthrow the strongholds, but this will only last for a short while. Then he will stir up the courage and raise up a great army against the king of the south. The king of the south will go to battle with a mighty army, but to no avail, for plots against him will succeed. Those in his own household will bring his downfall. His army will be swept away, and many will be killed, seeking nothing but each other's harm. These kings will plot against each other at the conference table, attempting to deceive each other, but it will make no difference, for an end will still become. For the end will still come at the anointed time. Apologies for my stumbling today. The king of the north will return home with great riches. On the way, he will set himself against the people of the Holy Covenant, doing much damage before continuing on his journey. Then at the appointed time, he will once again invade the south, but this time the result will be different, for warships from the western coastline will scare him off, and he will withdraw and return home. But he will vent his anger against the people of the Holy Covenant and reward those who forsake the covenant. His armies will take over the temple fortress, polluting the sanctuary, putting a stop to the daily sacrifices, and setting up a sacrilegious object that will cause desecration. He will flatter those who violate the covenant and win them over to his side. But the people who know their God will be strong and will resist him. Those who are wise will give instruction to many, but for a time many of those teachers will die by fire and sword, or they will be jailed and robbed. While all of these persecutions are going on, a little help will arrive, though many who join them will not be sincere. For some of those who are wise will fall victim to persecution. In this way, they will be refined and cleansed and made pure until the time of the end, for their appointed time is still to come. The king will do as he pleases, exalting himself and claiming to be greater than every other god there is, blaspheming even the God of gods. He will succeed until the time of wrath is completed. For what has been determined will surely take place. He will have no regard for the gods of his ancestors, or for the God beloved by women, or for any other god. For he will boast that he is greater than them all. Instead of these, he will worship the God of fortresses, a God that his ancestors never knew, and lavish him with gold, silver, precious stones, and costly gifts. Claiming this foreign god's help, he will attack the strongest fortresses. He will honor those who submit to him, appointing them into positions of authority and dividing land amongst them as a reward. Then at the time of the end, the king of the south will attack him, and the king of the north will storm out against him with chariots and cavalries and a vast navy. He will invade various lands and sweep through them like a flood. He will enter the glorious land of Israel, and many nations will fall, but Moab, Edom, and the best of Ammon will escape. He will conquer many countries, and Egypt will not escape. He will gain control over their gold and silver and treasures of Egypt, and the Libyans and Ethiopians will be his servant. But news from the east and the north will alarm him, and he will set out in great anger to destroy many as he goes. He will halt between the glorious holy mountain and the sea, and will pitch his royal tents there. But while he was there, his time will suddenly run out, and there will be no one there to help him. Again, I apologize for my stumbling in today's reading, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. The two main points I want to pull out today are these. The first is this one that we talked about yesterday, the one who appears to be like a man, who again I interpret to be Jesus, is telling all these visions to Daniel and what they mean. And he talks about this kingdom that will be ruled by a king that will accomplish everything he sets out to do. But at the height of his power, it says the kingdom will be divided into 4 pieces. And none of these will have the same power or the same authority as the kingdom that came before. And it got me thinking of how much more powerful and how much more effective we are when we stand together. When we try to divide ourselves, we end up not only losing power, but we end up not accomplishing a lot of what we set out to do. So my first question is this: how are we working to stay unified in things? How are we working to be a unified people trying to accomplish the mission that God gave us? And my second question is this: we see these kings of the North and the South. These are not guys that I would want to sit down and have coffee with. They do not seem like the kind of people that I would want to associate with. Throughout all of these generations and throughout all of these kings, you hear about deceit and backstabbing and all of these things. But my question, or my point that I want to bring out is this: we see time after time these kings try these underhanded tactics and deceit, and they never work. And my question is this: how do we carry ourselves with that sense of honesty and authority and not try underhanded tactics? Sometimes they can seem much easier in the simpler route, but how do we keep our heads above water and above reproach? So those are questions I have for you today. We're going to be finishing up Daniel tomorrow. Until then, I'm going to pray us out, and y'all can get back to your days. Father God, we thank you for today. We thank you that you walk with us. We thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us. God, I ask that you be with each and every one of us today. And God, we thank you for walking with us through everything. In your Son's name, amen. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you again tomorrow, and until then, take care.